Hey guys, so we're going to take you through a little video that's going to talk about really regaining core stability. If you haven't already, please watch the video on proper breathing because that's going to pertain to a lot of the things we're talking about. Because if we're not breathing properly, then we aren't really engaging our core the way we could if we were doing it best, because we want our diaphragm to be pressing down from the top, and then we want our pelvic floor at the bottom, and then we have all these muscles all around that we want to help provide stability. So this is really for anyone, maybe someone who's had a lot of back problems. I know we're specifically making it to appeal to ladies who have had children to kind of get this area back and working after it's been stretched out a little bit. But really anyone who could improve their core stability, this could be helpful for. So watch the breathing video, and then we'll get into the strengthening in this one. So the first thing I want to talk a little bit about is you could really start this anytime, is just kind of tightening your pelvic floor. So a lot of times people will call them Kegel exercises. Along with that, if you don't know what that is, really it would be something that you work on if you were going to the bathroom. So if you were just peeing and you would stop that stream. So that's tightening all those muscles, and you want to practice how can I control that whenever I want to control that. So that's one, is just an isometric hold. You can do it anywhere. I could be doing it now. You wouldn't even know. So you're driving your car, anything. So maybe practice holding 10 times for 10 seconds. Along with that, I like people to reach right inside their hip bone when they do that and see if not only can I contract my pelvic floor, but can I kind of tighten these muscles in here also. So that's a little bit of a deeper abdominal muscle, and it's just good to practice feeling like you can activate that muscle. You might have a hard time with it at first. It shouldn't be something that you're like, I can't figure this out, this is stupid, I'm not working on it. It could take people weeks and weeks to really get that muscle to fire. So you just really want to pinch inside your hip bones, feel it tighten, and you want to feel like you have control over that. So from there, we're going to start very basic. So as soon as you're allowed to really start doing anything, and this is pretty mild, we're going to start down on the ground. So we're going to kind of go through a whole ab brace pelvic tilt series. So a pelvic tilt is essentially, I can tilt forward, and you can see this space under my back, I would think. And then I can tilt back, and that's pressing my low back into the floor. As I press my low back into the floor, I have a posterior pelvic tilt, and I should feel like I can engage my abdominals. Now, if I've gotten pretty good at this breathing, this is a great time to practice kind of bracing with breath. Oh, hi, Blitz.
Hello, Blitz.
All right, so we have that. That's our pelvic tilt. So I can practice forward, back, tighten these muscles. So it's kind of like if someone was going to punch you, you want them to feel nice and tight like that. And I'm going to hold that maybe like 5-6 seconds, and then I'll relax it. Tighten it, hold 5-6 seconds, relax it. Once I feel like I completely understand that, I feel like my muscles are tightening, I understand the pelvic motion, I can progress it by adding a march. So I'm going to come here, tighten, march one, set it down, march the other. From here, I don't want my hips to wobble back and forth. I don't want to feel like I'm arching my back at all, none of that. So I'm in this position, I'm just marching back and forth. Ribs and hips kind of pinched together. That feels pretty easy. I can make it even harder. So from there, I'm going to lift to my tabletop. One leg, try to lift that other. If you feel like when that second one comes up, you get a little bit of this like arch, it's just a little bit hard. So we need to just keep working our marches, progress that for a longer period of time. So we're going to go to our tabletops. From here, we want to be able to hold this for, we'll say, somewhere between 3 to 6 seconds. And then I can set down, I can relax it. Tighten, lift and hold. I shouldn't be squeezing my knees together because I don't want to provide stability that way. And then back down. So I feel like that's easy. I could do maybe 2 sets of 10, hold for, like I said, 3 to 6 seconds. If that feels pretty good, I can try to do a toe tap. So that's the exact same hip position we did. So we have our pelvic tilt with our brace. We have our legs coming up. And then from here, I'm trying to reach one down, coming back up without rotating. Okay, so hopefully everyone can kind of see what happened there. I want to be pinching my hips and ribs together with my head down, so I'm not doing a crunch. Keep this tight. This is nice and activated. I can fill my belly up with air. Stay nice and solid, and then I can tap one, tap the other. Okay, try to do it for 10 full reps before you ever relax. I can feel that working, so hopefully you would be able to also. So then, to make it just a little bit harder, you can reach your arms up overhead. So I'm in my tabletop. I can raise my arms back as far as they'll go. If I go back further, my ribs want to pop out. Okay, so now I'm challenging my lower abs and my pelvis as well as the upper part where it's connected to my ribs. So I want to stay pressed down here, and then I want to perform my toe taps. Same thing, 2 to 3 sets of 10, really trying to feel all of this working. So the positioning and how you're doing it is far more important than how many you do or advancing to the next exercise. You want it to be as perfect as possible before you move on. If you try to skip a step, then there's a good chance that maybe you aren't strengthening that very basic part that needs to get stronger. So really spend a little bit of time at the beginning, just that tilt part and activating your pelvic floor, because that's going to be helpful in the long run. So from there, we want to work on a hollow hold. So that's something we talk a lot about in our classes, is using a hollow shape for a lot of different things. So this is essentially working that same tilt, but now I'm going to add a crunch in. So this is my very first position. It's like basically a crunch. I'm trying to clear my shoulder blades from the ground, be able to pause here, hold, maybe I'll hold this for 20, 30 seconds. If that becomes easy, I can go one leg up. Now, when my one leg comes up, if my shoulders sink down, I'm not ready yet. So maybe I should perform here and I could do little marches instead. But I want to progress to here, then both legs up, just like that tabletop position we did before, but now I'm in a crunch. And then to make it harder, I could do one leg coming down. I could try to raise one arm up. So eventually, we want to be low back pressed down in this nice shape and be able to hold it. I would say you should probably be able to hold a hollow hold for 20 to 30 seconds in a good position. So that's a second thing you can add on. I would get really good at that first series first to have that good pelvic control before you start adding in too much hollow hold work. So now we have worked a lot in the front. Our core, like I talked about, has multiple sides we want to work on. So we're going to go to the back a little bit. We're still going to be in this position. We're still going to pelvic tilt. But now I'm just going to work on doing a bridge. I'm only going to go as high as I can without letting this arch. So you can see if I'm just pushing up and I don't think about it, I have an arch in my back. My ribs are lifted. What I really want is this position. Flat through here, ribs and hips pinched together, squeezing my butt. Okay? So I could do maybe like 30 of these, pausing for 5-6 seconds. And if that's easy, I can come up, keep this down, and march. This one gets pretty hard. You want to also make sure you don't see your hips shifting. And then from there, you can work a single leg bridge. So 2 ways you could do it. You could have your legs straight and trying to keep your thighs parallel. Still keep your pelvic tilt. Then work on raising without your hips rotating. Another way you could work on it is you could hug and press up this way. So it's really working those hamstrings and glutes for that bridging series. The last thing I like people to work through is just a little bit of side hip work. So we're just gonna do some leg raises. So for my leg raises, I don't wanna be archy, I wanna be in that nice braced position. And then I'm gonna work kind of like 80s exercise videos, some Jane Fonda's. So we're just gonna lift our legs straight up to the side. So side leg raises with the top leg, you should feel the side of your hip working. We don't wanna turn our leg out and go as far as we can. That's not the point of the exercise. Really toe and knee stay pointed forward, squeeze your glute, back down. Okay, from there I can cross this leg. I can raise my bottom leg, working my inner thighs a little bit. During this, I can be working on an ab brace. I could be working on a pelvic floor contraction. I could be working on my breathing. So pretty easy to try to incorporate multiple of these things together. And then we also want to work just laying on our stomach and squeezing, okay? To get a little bit of our glute, a little bit of low back, but get that firing a little bit. So there's a good little series to do. You could start with just the most basic from each series and then progress each one as possible. You might be great at pelvic tilting but terrible at bridging. So work each series as their own. When in doubt, you're like, how many do I do? I would work towards 3 sets of 10. It's always better to give a little pause or contraction at the end to really make sure those muscles are firing and they're able to hold a position. So that is it. Hopefully I gave you some good information. Please reach out if you have any questions.